Hey guys, okay, so I wanted to say that we cannot really blame ourselves for anything, really. Um, some things we can blame ourselves because we know right from wrong, and then some things as a whole we can't blame ourselves because a lot of things that were hard to for some of us to stop doing, which were maybe a eating habit, um, and I'm not talking about anything worth eating. Of that about eating. I'm talking about eating habits of animal products. Um, People are becoming a vegan because they're now understanding that our body naturally heals itself without medicine, and medicine is chemicals. We heal ourselves with natural herbs and foods that grow from the ground. And society has food chains everywhere that is tasty, that looks good. Is it either whether it's fried chicken or um, a, a rib with a lot of barbecue sauce dripping from it, or um, a huge thick cut steak or a thin cut steak, the shrimp and the lobster, things like that. It's meat. Now, seafood is something that people, you know, really love because it's more lighter and it's not heavy, and it tastes good with different, seasonings and flavors, butter, things like that. But anything that causes mucus can start a disease. And the only way to get rid of a disease is to get rid of the mucus. This is the reason why it's very important for us to not consume anything that starts mucus buildup within our body. So if it's meat, if it's an animal product, if it's dairy like milk, cheese, yogurt, ice cream, anything. Some people are allergic to nuts and it starts mucus. You have to figure out what you're allergic to. But just know that any foods that causes you to have mucus, test out the different foods and see. If you start to have mucus, or if you start to say and you're coughing up things, it's because of first of all, it's because of all the foods that you've been eating that was unnatural. We need to focus on eating foods that grow from the ground, all herbs, all fruits and vegetables, drinking water, drinking things that don't have sugar in them, artificial sugar, have something that is that's a natural sweetener, like an actual fruit, like from a pineapple that sweetens your drink. Pineapple, that's a natural sugar. It will sweeten up your drink. If you blend that pineapple with other vegetables, so you won't taste the bitterness or the very bland taste of certain vegetables that people don't like. Um, Pineapple and beets is really good. No one likes to drink beet juice. Some people do, but not all people do. But think about blending pineapples with beets. You will barely taste the beets. Um, Adding kale and green leaves and plants to your diet, to the drinks, the smoothie or whatnot. And when I say smoothie, don't add milk. It's a smoothie in another way that is going to be just based on fruits, water, and vegetables, or maybe just fruits, or maybe just vegetables. But you want to add a little bit more flavor to it by adding some fruit to the vegetable drink in order for it to be like a smoothie, or it can just be a drink. It doesn't have to be a smoothie. It doesn't have to be thick at all. Um, but we are not going to continue to blame ourselves because a lot of things are being advertised, and it's still being advertised. Um, so the FDA, the Food and Drug Administration, and the Department of United States Department of Public Health, They know that our main medicine to cure any disease, to cure any any type of pain that we're in for anyone, the main cause of it would come from anything that's not natural, and it's been scientifically proven. So now you're asking yourself, well, why don't they just tell us? You see, they do tell us. They give us a choice to choose between good and bad. But it's like, why just not give us the choice of bad and just give us the good if you really care about us? Well, a lot of people say, well, that's because we want to give people freedom to do what they want. You know, they have a choice. It's a free country. But they don't give us a choice for something else to do something bad if they don't want us to do anything bad. You know what I mean? They don't give us a choice to do something bad that's going to cause us harm or someone else harm. We can cause ourselves harm. They give us that choice, but they don't give us a choice to go inside of the White House without going past security, even though we have a decision to do what we want. You see, we can't just go over the fence without our security coming to probably shoot us down or whatnot. Um, we have to be invited to the White House or to the Capitol and already be there. That's the thing. So they care about that protection and safety. But what about the protection and safety of someone who is in their own home or working for a system and trying to stay alive and work? What about, giving them no option but to eat healthy so that they can have the strength and the energy that they need to survive while they are working, you know? And that's a big thing that people should start thinking about. Um, So I wanted you all to know that, we cannot beat ourselves up and worry about, well, we've been doing a bad thing, we've been doing a wrong thing, or I can't stop eating meat and I can't stop eating ice cream or adding cheese to my food. God has found another way for us to do that. There's vegan butter now. There's vegan cheese. There's almond milk, so there's vegan milk. There's vegan ice cream. There's vegan everything now. So we have a reason to turn vegan and not be consumed by the system by continuing to follow the structure process that our parents were on all the time and that our ancestors were on. Now, our ancestors weren't eating those things. A lot of our ancestors weren't even eating meat, and they were focusing more on the natural foods. But over time, they did eat meat here and eat a little bit of meat there. But back then, people knew the answers to survival, and then people became developing their own. They developed their own mindset by having free will, and it's all because of how someone is teaching you and what they're putting out there for you to be influenced by. So it would be misleading for us to go out there and shoot a dog and kill a dog in the street, but it wouldn't be misleading for them to slaughter and kill cows and pigs for us to eat when they're animals and they have a life too. That's not misleading. And call this animal cruelty to just harm a dog or a cat and go to jail, and not what they're doing for the people that are inside the slaughterhouses. The system is allowing this to happen, and then they say it's misleading for us to have the option and the chance and the right to abuse a dog. It's misleading. Now, that's misleading. The system supporting the disapproval animal cruelty, and then they have a slaughterhouse like Tyson Chicken and meat farms and things like that. Even horses have been grinded up into meat to eat. Camels. Um, other animals, armadillo. I mean, why? You know, what about nature? And then you have a zoo for us to go watch the zoo animals, and their nature is out in the wild. It's not, and I can see you having a zoo for certain reasons, but it's just all miscombobulated, if that's even a good word to use for this. Um, so that's why I said that the old system is being is vanished, because we all really desire to have a new system and not that system. But some people feel like sad, like they want to cry. But why do you want to cry when you're going to be healthy? We're going to be healthy. The whole world's going to be healthy. No one has to worry about going to the hospital, paying a doctor bill because they're in bad health when they're already healthy. Nobody's even thinking like that. But now people are starting to realize that's what the whole purpose of getting rid of the old system is, to replace it with a new system so everyone could be happy, so everyone can keep their money, so everyone can live a better life. Who doesn't want that? I mean, really, everyone should desire that. And another thing is, people will beat themselves up and say that they're to blame. No, it's not you. No, it's not your parents. No, it is the people that were here centuries ago who are no longer living. We have copied and repeated their process, and they're dead. They're under the ground. And we have took on their lead. And if they were alive to know the information that we know today, they would say change it also. They would do something else totally different, because they would want to stay alive. They'll be like, what? You mean to tell me in order to cure this, I didn't have to take that medicine to have a bad side effect? I could have just took this and been healthy? Yes. Well, what happened? Why didn't we know this? You did know it. It was in the gospel, in the Bible, but a Confederate system was establishing themselves to have control, and having people in science creating medicines for people to take, and it had chemicals in it, and they wanted control with people wanted money more than the health of a person, but they were doing it wrong. Some of their money that they wanted was to get the health of a person established. But the gospel has been here even for centuries and centuries and centuries ago. When the Confederate system was first established, the gospel was still here. They decided to do something else. It was because of the love of money, and because the love of everything else. See, money isn't the root of all evil. It's not. It's what it's the love of it. You see, if you love it so much that you don't care about someone else's health and you just want to make some money, then that's where the evil is going to play off. But now people are on it. That's why money is becoming. They're not using money anymore. They're turning money into bitcoins and more digital online, so you won't have to touch money because of the amount of sin that it holds energy. Now you can be a holy person and you can cover up and separate that energy from the money. And it's not making the money evil. There's just the mindset of a person about what they're doing with it as a whole. And some people may do some foolish things with money, but they're not trying to harm themselves or harm anyone else. They just need a better direction and a better guidance. But having distractions like slaughterhouses, having distractions like Burger King advertising hamburgers, baconators, Big Macs, and other foods that come from animals, advertising those things instead of advertising healthy foods that looks good for us to eat and stay alive, that will help us along the way. So a lot of people are beating themselves up and making themselves feel bad, like, "Oh, I've been a bad parent. I've fed my children meat and we've been eating animal products." Don't beat yourself up. Okay? Feel feel tricked and feel like, "Oh man, I should have never had ate that." You know, and think about, well, why if it's true, and it's healing people, if the natural foods that grow from the ground are healing people, why isn't everyone doing it? That's because some people grow up, go to school, and become working for a system that repeats itself. What about someone who grows up and wants to make history and stop everything? Michael Jackson, he wanted to do the same thing. He said it in his music: stop, heal the world. Earth Song. What about the animals? What about the forest? What about the flowery fields? What about all of that? He put the gospel in his music because he had a bigger audience and he was able to trick the industry by not just talking about love and sleeping with someone and a girl, this and that and the third, and having a one night stand. He knew that the world wanted that. That was a distraction, but he had fun with it because he knew how to curate his audience attention by getting the mass amount of people to listen to what he was saying. Now that he's got everyone's attention, boom, he shares the gospel. And everyone is understanding about that's why everyone loves Earth Song because it's such a beautiful song. It talks about saving the world. And see, a Confederate system would stop that from happening because even though he shared the gospel through the music about what to do and about how to get the world back in order, they still had animal slaughterhouses to provide meat for people's tables. That's all he was saying. And people should understand that. So now that's coming down, and anyone who is upset about the Confederate system coming down, they don't care about staying alive. They don't. And if they do, they don't understand what they're supporting. That's the only thing. There is no, you know, um, no color thing about it. There's no someone is not there is no color thing. It's a spiritual thing. It's a soul thing. It's a mind thing. There's no, and the people who don't want it to happen, it's because they're so used to eating meat and consuming things that are causing their bodies harm that they don't want to see it disappear because they fear uh they fear that they won't have enjoy their life. They feel that they won't enjoy their life by not continuing to eat animal products. They feel like that. Like, what do you mean that there's no more McDonald's or Burger King? What do you mean we can't enjoy steak? What do you mean I can go to my favorite restaurant? What do you mean I can have a barbecue out my backyard? Did you just hear what I just said and what the gospel just said? What was going to happen if you eat healthier foods? You will no longer need to take prescription medicine. You will no longer be feeling tired, worn out. Everything about you will be healed. And some people are so used to consuming animal products that they don't even see the real deal. They aren't even going to they don't have a desire to eat their fruits and vegetables on a daily basis because they're used and their family were used to consuming meat. See, now your family was on the meat. Your family's family was on the meat and further. You see, it's just like it's just like when the world didn't have cell phones, didn't have a telephone or a street light. If it wasn't invented, where would we be? We really want telephones, right? We really want lights, so we can see in the dark and at nighttime, right? We really appreciate cars, trains, and airplanes for transportation. But what if we didn't have that? The people in the before that, before everything was invented, will enjoy what they were experiencing right now. Life is so much better, and we would be able to explore things. People would be walking. They in the Bible ages, they walked for miles to travel. Now that was good exercise. Now, okay, it was very good exercise. But you'll be able to explore more in your life because they say life is short. And I don't like to use that term because when God said He's promised you a long life, didn't believe it. I won't even say life is short. I won't even say it. I don't. I never say that because I believe in God prospering. I believe in God's word when He said, "I will bless you with a long, long life." I believe that. So I never say life is too short. No, I don't say that. I don't, because I believe that God can bless you with a long, long life. Just that's just it. That's just my how I believe in things. That's just my faith, and I'm not the only one. Someone else believes in the same thing also. So you believe in the Confederate system, you will believe that life is too short. And see, that's what God don't want you to do. He wants you to believe in His word, the gospel, and not within the Confederate system was telling you to think is normal. We need these companies like McDonald's, Burger King, Longback Steakhouse. It seemed good for everyone, but that's because they made it seem good. But really, the long run, people have heart conditions, high blood pressure, diabetes. If they got rid of all these things that tempted people and the tempting things itself, not just the things that were tempting them, like the advertising, the things that was tempting as well was the actual businesses that was providing these things for people to consume for their bodies. And if you get rid of that and replace it with something else by reinventing, see people. Remember when I said it's not the money isn't the root of all evil; it's the love of money. You see, these companies who have meat being sold from their businesses, they fear the loss of money. But if they think on the other side, they will keep their money by reinventing their business and having food taste just like what they were making, but have it vegan. And some people would say, I don't know if I'm going to live or survive. See, then you got people saying that they don't know if they're going to live or not or survive by not eating meat. When the gospel says you will survive and live if you eat the natural foods, not the meat. Now that's God's mercy over you, protecting you for consuming that stuff every single day. That's God's mercy over you. If you know what God's mercy is, it's like someone was to come and throw rocks at a car and the windows was rolled down and not one rock hit you not one time. That was God's mercy over you. So look at all the meat you've consumed over the years. All the times you've been sick, all the times you caught the flu, all the times you had a stomach ache, all the times you had a headache, all the times you vomited. All that was because of the food that you was consuming. Not because it was cold outside or you smelled something. It was because of the food you were consuming, and people get real sick, and some people get cancer because of that. That was the cause of cancer. The meat. He said, no, your natural food for your healing is the food that comes from the ground. So that's why I said the Confederate system is leaving. And anyone who is upset about that, they don't want anyone to live or themselves. And if they do, they don't understand the gospel and the reason for leaving it. People don't see that's what's really happening. That's really happening right now. It's not to destroy and everybody's going to die. It's to destroy the things that was causing people to die so that we can live. That is the true gospel. So anyone who is upset, and we've seen it on television, people were upset about the Confederate statues coming down. Why would you want to, it's still going to be in the history books. It's still going to be in the museums. They're not destroying them completely. They're going into a museum. If you want to see the statues, go to the museum that they're putting it in. Go to the museum and see that. But God said, do not worship any other false idol. That was false. We worship God, not a false idol. That was causing people to get cancer and be sick and things like that. What about having everyone healthy and live a long time? Do you enjoy going to the hospital and paying a doctor bill? Don't you want to be your own doctor and never have to worry about that? Don't you want to not have to worry about paying the government for a debt, paying your debt off when they should be paying you for just having your time up there to even study and learn those type of things to help the world? What if we had no doctors for people who was consuming? Now we need doctors for people who consume certain foods that's causing them to be sick and they need a doctor to take care of them. We could be our own doctor. People were giving birth at home, their own babies, naturally. They didn't need certain medications to numb the pain, things like that. They would have everything would happen naturally because they were healthy enough for that. Some things you might need a doctor for, like someone was to fall and break a bone or something like that. Okay, they can go to the doctor. Now, now, if you're gonna, what's sad is that you can have a doctor who had to pay his way through school, and he still owes the government after he's went to school and did all that studying. Now he's still paying for it. You know, some doctors has paid their debt, they call it debt, and some doctors are still paying. But wouldn't it be nice for you to just pay the person, let them know, pay them, let that person go to school for free? Because they've given their time. How about you pay that person for even going to school to study to learn about how to be a doctor? If you're not gonna pay them for going to school and let them learn how to be a doctor, then let them go to school for free. And that's what's happening now, because people don't have to go to school to learn how to be a doctor to heal your grandmother or your grandfather or your child who broke a bone or anything like that. They don't have to. But you let people pay for that, and now you have blocked people's spiritual freedom when God said everything you want and need I will provide it for you. Now a lot of people were being blocked because of the Confederate system. People thought that things were okay, and it's not. Now you have to look at your family generation and that generation, your family, and everyone in your family following a system and not stepping away from a system, a Confederate system, and understanding what's happening in the world. But now it's too late, and the Confederate system is being wiped up from underneath of us. It's not to harm anyone, it's to take away the system that was harming us. That's it. People can save their own lives. Now, the people who were upset about it, if they were truly upset about it, they would try to go to war and fight. But why, when we're giving you the blessing to keep your life and to keep your money and not be taxed and live a better life to support you and your family and to live a healthy, long life? Why would you fight to go back to having poor health, not keeping your money that you work for, paying taxes and paying and waiting for the end of the year to get your income taxes when you could have just got all of that back on each paycheck? Why would you fight and support for slavery like that? Why would you not fight and support for reinventing the system? Why would you not want that? That's what we mean. That's the old Confederate system. And people should understand that. See you later.